Morning.
Morning.
My name is Wesley Stepp, and I'm here to talk to you today about software components of a computer system. Quick history with this is the idea that software should be componentized, built from prefabricated components first became prominent with Douglas McElroy's address at the NATO Conference on Software Engineering in Garmisch, Germany, 1968, titled Mass Produced Software Components. The conference set out to counter the so-called software crisis. McElroy's subsequent inclusion of pipes and filters into the Unix operating system was the first definition of an infrastructure for ideas. Brad Cox of Stepstone largely defined the modern concept of software component. He called them software ICs and set out to create an infrastructure and market for these components by inventing the Object-C programming language. Summarizes this view in his book, Object-Oriented Programming, an Evolutionary Approach in 1968. The software components are used in two different contexts and two kinds. Using components as part to build a single executable, or for each executable is treated as a component in a distributed environment where components collaborate with each other using internet or intranet communication protocols for IPC, inter-process communications. The above belongs to the former kind, while the below belongs to a later kind. IBM led the path with their system object model, SOM, in the early 1990s. As a reaction, Microsoft paved the way for actual deployment of component software with OLE and COM. As of 2010, many successful software component models exist. So what are the software components of a computer system? Might take a guess.
Applications that causes it to run.
Correct. Alright, let's start with the operating system. The operating system is the software which directly controls the hardware and provides an environment in which to run application software. Provides an interface between the computer and the human user, manages the system resources such as memory, processing capacity, etc., controls input and output devices, writes and reads data to and from disk, provides an environment in which application software can be run, controls user access rights, hides the complexities of the hardware from the user. Software system, or operating system types: batch processing operating system. Batch processing operating system is one where processing requests are grouped together in batches to be run all at once. Real-time operating system. Real-time operating system is one which processing requests made by the user are executed immediately. Single user system, which is one of the, allows a single user to access it at any one time. A multi-user operating system allows several users to access it simultaneously. Excuse me. Programs, system utilities, command shell, system services, user interfaces, logical level of operating systems, hardware level of operating systems, and graphics engine. Logical level of operating system. It provides a high-level function such as file management, internet, and networking facilities. Hardware level of operating system. The hardware level controls the use of physical system resources such as memory manager, process manager, and disk drivers. Programs. Examples of programs would be word processing, spreadsheet, graphics programs, music software, games. Individual software component is software package, a web service, a web resource, or a module that encapsulates a set of related functions or data. All system processes are placed into separate components so that all the data and functions inside each component are semantically related, just as with the component or contents of classes. Because of this principle, it is often said that components are modular and cohesive. With regard to system-wide coordination, components communicate with each other via interfaces. When a component offers services to the rest of the system, it adopts a provide interface that specifies the services that other components can realize and how they can do so. The interface can be seen as a signature of the component. The client does not need to know about the inner workings of the component implementation in order to make use of it. Principal result in components referred to as incapacitated. Thank you. The UML illustrations within this article provided interfaces by the lollipop symbol attached to the outer edge of the component. You see a photo for that one. However, when a component needs to use another component in order to function, it adopts a used interface that specifies the services that it needs. In the UML illustrations in this article, used interfaces are represented by an open socket symbol attached to the outer edge of the component. I seem to have forgot to put pictures in this. Another important attribute of components is that they are substitutable, so that a component can replace another at design time or runtime if the successor component meets the requirements of the initial component expressed via the interfaces. Consequently, components can be replaced with either an updated version or an alternate without breaking the system in which the component operates. Application softwares. Apps are designed to allow the user of the system to complete a specific task or set task. They include programs such as web browsers, office software, games, and so on. They are usually the reason you bought the computer system in the first place, and aren't concerned with the management or maintenance of the system itself. Any individual software package, whichever of the above types it falls into, can either be generic or off the shelf, or can be bespoke, custom built. Generic software is mass-produced with the intention that it will be used by a wide variety of different users in a range of different situations. Bespoke software is created for a specific purpose, which will be used in a known environment. Often generic software is used when there is a package available that meets the needs of the user. Because it is used by many more people, the cost of creating it is spread over a greater number of people or organizations, and so the cost of the individual is much lower. It also has the advantage that it is available immediately. There is no waiting time involved while the software package is designed, created, and tested. Bespoke software has the advantage that it can be tailor-made to exact specifications, but is significantly more expensive and will take more time to create. Utility software. Utility software such as antivirus software, firewalls, disk defragmenters, and so on, which helps to maintain and protect the computer system, but does not directly interface with the hardware. System software is the software used to manage and control the hardware components, and which allows interaction between the hardware and the other types of software. The most obvious type of system software is the computer's operating system, but device drivers are also included within this category. Software components of a computer system have no physical presence. They are stored in digital form within the computer memory. There are different categories of software, including system software, utilities, and application software. Software can also be described as being either generic or bespoke. System utilities. Example of system utilities include file copy, hard drive, repair, and similar items. On the Macintosh, all the desktop accessories, calculator, keycaps, etc., and all of the control panels are examples of the system utilities. Command shell. The command shell on the Macintosh is the finder and was the first commercial available graphic command shell. On Windows, the command shell is a poorly integrated combination of file manager and the program manager. The command line, cprompt of MS-DOS, or bourne shell of Unix are examples of the older style text-based command shells. And we just skipped over system services, which system services are example of our built-in database query languages on mainframes or the QuickTime media layers of the Macintosh. User interfaces. Until the Macintosh introduced Alan Kay's, inventor of the personal computer, graphic user interfaces, object-oriented programming, and software agents, groundbreaking ideas on human-computer interfaces. Operating systems didn't include support for user interfaces other than simple text-based shells. The Macintosh user interface is called the Macintosh Toolbox and provides the Windows menus, alert boxes, dialog boxes, scroll bars, buttons, controls, and other user interface elements shared by almost all programs. Features of a computer system which allow the user to interact with it, which mean in user interfaces. Seems my slides are not in the correct order here. User interfaces, also sometimes called a human-computer interface, comprises both hardware and software components. It handles the interaction between the user and the system. Different ways of interacting with the computer systems which have evolved over the years. There are three main types of interfaces. Anybody guess which three types those would be?
Command line and graphical two.
Without looking at the sheet. Incorrect. Command line, graphic user interface, GUI, menu-driven, and form-based. Natural language. Command line interfaces are the oldest of the interfaces discussed here. It involves the computer responding to the command types by the operator. This type of interface has the drawback that it requires the operator to remember a range of different commands and is not the ideal for novice users. And we actually have an example of command line on this. The graphic user interface, which this is showing the actual Linux environment. Most of us use Windows. There's a few of us that actually do use Linux. A menu-driven interface is commonly used on cash machines, also known as automated teller machines or ATMs, ticket machines, and information kiosks. For example, in a museum, they provide a simple and easy-to-use interface comprised of a series of menus and submenus which the user accesses by pressing buttons, often on a touchscreen device. Pretty sure everybody here's used an ATM before. A form-based interface uses text boxes, drop-down menus, text areas, checkboxes, radio boxes, and buttons to create an electronic form which a user completes in order to enter data into a system. This is commonly used on websites to gather data from a user, or in call centers to allow operators to quickly enter information gathered over the phone. Very poor quality picture, sorry about that. Natural language interface is a spoken interface where the user interacts with the computer by talking to it, sometimes referred to as, read that just a second. Conversational interface. This interface simulates having a conversation with a computer, made famous by science fiction such as Star Trek. Natural language systems are not yet advanced enough to be in widespread use, commonly used by telephone systems as an alternative to user pressing number buttons. The user can speak their responses instead. I'm pretty sure everybody here has a smartphone. That would be the, there we go. The graphics engine. The graphics engine includes elements of all three of the lowest levels, from physically displaying things on the monitor to providing high-level graphic routines such as fonts and animated sprites. That is the software components of a computer system. Thank you.